person.
No bars. No bars.
First official episode of Beefy Boys that we've been able to do in person. Forgive us if the audio is not up to par. We had a genius idea yesterday to each use one AirPod and it ended up sounding horrible on YouTube. So we're just raw dogging it with the iPhone mic. Like I said, hope it's not terrible, man. How you feeling about last night's card, bro?
I feel two ways, right? Like, I really love the prelims. I think the prelims I'm going to have so much fun with, minus the first fight. And then the main card, I mean, I think it was anticlimactic in 3 out of the 5 fights. One was exactly what we thought, and one was kind of the rise of the new guy on the block.
Yeah, even the most exciting fight, well, you're right. There's the new guy. The Pereira Strickland fight delivered.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's really 1 out of what? 1 out of 4.
And I mean, Lawler Barberena, I thought was
right.
Good too.
You're right. Lawler Barberena, good fight.
So
but,
they're 2 for 5 because I thought the 2 title fights not the most entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for different reasons, but regardless, still didn't have me on the edge of my seat. But yeah, kind of lukewarm, kind of anticlimactic on the main card, which is what we pay our $75 for. You know, so that always stings a little bit. However, pretty decent day at the sports book for you boys. I hit 2 parlays. Harrison officially hit 1, but there's like 3 that are up, like kind of up in the air with the O'Malley situation, which we'll get to. But you know, maybe a push, may get his money back. Not exactly sure how to really consider those wins or losses yet. But either way, even on the parlays that we missed on them, we were 4 for 5, 5 for 6, 2 for 3.
Dude.
I mean, we were so
7
close.
for 8.
7 for 8 on an 8-legger. That was like what, plus 20.
It was. Oh man, we did this math, but I forgot it already. It was $5 to win 800, whatever that is.
Whatever that is, exactly. Like plus 16,000 or some shit, right?
It's 1600, yeah.
Or I think maybe.
No, you're right, 16,000.
Yeah, insane. We were so close to hitting that big 8-legger. We were going to be at the pool, day club at the pool, but didn't happen. But honestly, we can dive in because, I mean, speaking parlays, we had quite a few parlays that involved the over on the very first fight. And then if you watch the fight, you know how that one ends, but we'll get to it. Jerking the curtain on the early prelims. We got Jessica Rose Clark coming in at minus 155, fighting Julia Stolyarenko plus 135 in the women's bantamweight division. We both like the over. Honestly, you can't even front. Like, we liked it a lot. Like, we put it a lot on a lot of parlays.
5 out of 13 parlays.
Yeah. So we thought it was a pretty safe bet. No, in all fairness, Vegas agreed with us. We only got like minus 230 on that. So it's not like we were going out on some limb. It was kind of chalk, kind of conventional wisdom, you know, thought that this fight was going to go over. No, that's the thing about this sport. Anything can happen at any time. And that, indeed it did. Not only did this fight not go over 2.5, this fight didn't go over half.
Didn't even go over a fifth of a round.
Yeah, it was a tough one, but at least it wasn't a bad beat. Like, it was just, you know, it happened.
It was just a bad beating, I suppose, when you look at man, I mean, so we can dive into it, right? Because like you said, you're at the odds. 42 seconds. They just start going to war. They just start throwing bombs.
As soon as the fight started, I was like,
I literally stood up to go get a Coors Light, and you're like, they're going to war. And I was like, no. Like, please, no.
Exactly what we didn't need from a betting perspective when you bet the over. They just start launching bombs and connecting bombs.
Well, and then Stolyarenko gets a takedown.
Yep.
Gets to the ground. We're in celebratory status. We're like, yes, fine. This can just be a ground fight. It can be slow. And then they both start going hard again from bottom and top. And I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is where I'm not going to like, yeah, gambling can make fights more fun. But when we were talking about this a little bit, like betting the over, you're almost like hoping for a snoozy fight. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of a weird conflict of interest. You know, we obviously love exciting fights. This was an exciting fight. But when you bet the over, we were sweating it a little different.
It's also weird because like in games like basketball, football, life's too short to bet the under. Always bet the over. You get a better game, right?
Yeah.
In fighting, betting the under is way more fun than the over.
Yeah, betting the over is way more fun for sure. But, you know, gambling, you know, ain't always about fun. You got to make your predictions. We did. You know, we came up short on this one. The fight actually ends via armbar at 42 seconds, and Jesus Christ.
Like, the arm came out whenever Stolyarenko rolled back, and then she kept cranking it down further to the point where, like, it really looked like Rose Clark's elbow was like inverted. Like her arm was literally bent downward.
Oh,
but
yeah.
with her wrist out.
Yeah, hyperextended. I mean, destroyed. Rose Clark was on social media saying she was going to need surgery. Also, she was saying how she felt Stoliarenko held the sub after the tap, which there's a lot of. I want to get into this a little bit because
I think there's two sides to it, right?
well, in real time, I thought she held on to it a little long too.
Me too.
I've watched some replays. Obviously, pretty popular topic on social media. You know, among fight fans. What did she hold it too long? Was it unsportsmanlike? You know, was it dirty? It was bang bang, dude. Like and like obviously, there's not really much middle ground. The elbow goes from being fine to being broken, and just like a split. You know what I mean?
And like it broke. When it broke, it like popped all the way through too. It wasn't like a.
It was like fucking eating a flat chicken wing.
Yeah, it wasn't like Tony Ferguson's where you kind of see it like it looks odd.
It gives.
Yeah, it gives, but like hers was like literally backwards. Like her elbow was inverted.
And like I said, the amount of time from the tap, because also this is another thing everybody's talking about on social media, which is a valid point. Fighters can't stop at the tap. We've seen it bite a lot of fighters in the ass, the fake tap, the quote unquote Brazilian tap. Like it's happened. Fighters can't. Just like in football, we have a football background. We're told play through the whistle. That's essentially the fighter equivalent. So the fighter can't stop the submission until the ref pulls them off. And just when you're talking about a fraction of a second from the tap to the pull off to the ligament going to the stopping the submission. I feel better about it now. In real time, I thought it was a little dirty, a little unnecessary. I've watched it in slow-mo. I've watched it, seen the threads on social media. I'm pretty much just going to go with bang, bang. It's unfortunate. I don't think there was really much ill will. I mean, there was ill will. It's a fist fight, but you know what I'm saying?
I thought what DC said was very interesting. That I can't remember who he said it to, if it was Rogan or Anik, but he was saying that he was like, yeah, I mean, she's cranking on it right there. He was like, honestly, like, whenever I was in fights like that, he was like, I wouldn't even crank the arm. I would just get him to the point where it's extended. And, like, he was like, I know they're going to tap, so I'll just hold them there until they tap. He was like, I'm just too nice of a guy, I guess, to break an arm like that.
Yeah, I mean, Stoliarenko's definitely a savage, which you can't knock somebody for in the sport of mixed martial arts. Like, you want your fighter to be a savage. And, like,
right.
And like I said, foul play, no. I mean, is there other people like DC that maybe wouldn't have taken it that far? Sure, whatever, but you can't really hold that against Stoliarenko in my book.
It's not Stoliarenko's job to stop herself, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's the ref's job to stop her.
Also, like Twitter, nobody's better to remind you of something than Twitter. Rose Clark lost fight to armbar. So, like, fight fans were not feeling very sympathetic. Like, hey, like, drill the position. Yeah.
That's fair.
So
that's actually fair.
Fair point, right? So, like, interesting. I said, you don't always learn a lot from Twitter, but I was like, yeah, I had to be reminded that Rose Clark lost her last fight via armbar. So, as far as, like, sympathy from the fans on losing another armbar, it doesn't seem like there was too much sympathy for her out there.
Dude, her name is so tough. Because I always call her Rose Clark, and it's actually just Clark. Like, her first name is the one with the hyphen.
Yeah, it's like Carl Anthony Towns. That's the other one that comes to mind. That always confused the fuck. Because I have a hyphenated last name, so if anybody should understand this, it's me. But the hyphenated first name is another category. But yeah, Stoliarenko, beautiful armbar. I want to say she got a bonus for it. I do believe, which rightfully so. I mean, it was brutal. It happened fast. It was dominant. I believe, and Harrison's going to look that up right now. But I do believe Stoliarenko got the bonus. Like I said, crashed a bunch of our parlays, but. I mean, good on her, good on her. I'm glad you all got to enjoy a more exciting fight than a over 2.5 snoozer that we were predicting.
Let's see.
He's pulling up the bonuses right now. Cheers, everybody. Take a quick second. Shout out Howlerhead, official brand ambassador. Literally the best bourbon. Like, it's so smooth. I mean, if you like a classic old school bourbon, obviously this has the banana flavor, but like as far as an easy drink, a fun drink, perfect for watching the fights, shout out Howlerhead, hashtag Howler House in the comments. Drinking Coors Light right now because we went hard last night, and your boy, I don't know if I have any more whiskey in me today. We've gone through like 3 bottles of Howlerhead in like 4 days, but
I mean, I'm with electrolytes for anyone at home. Happy dad, shout out, but also not like Steve, what the fuck, man?
Why do Happy Dad suck so bad?
Yeah, like they're bad. Like they taste like your wife said it best. like the shitty popsicle that you just
Like a
don't
freezer
want.
burn popsicle that's like been in the back of the freezer, but when you were like 8 and it was a hot summer day, you just went ahead and just powered through it anyway. Yeah, no, man, Steve, we love supporting the brand. You know, I love all the good things you do with the proceeds, but goddamn, make a better product. Like,
I
it's
mean,
rough.
It's like after you drink like 4 of them, you can drink a whole lot of them because they just kind of coat your mouth.
Maybe it's better over ice. I don't know, dude. It's pretty rough out of a can.
If you tell me your seltzer's better over ice, I can't support you.
Dude, right? But keeping it pushing here, as we like to say in the Beefy Boys Breakdown. Also, if you're watching, go ahead and take a second, click subscribe, like this video, leave a comment on what you thought about the Stolyarenko armbar. Was it dirty? Did she hold it too long? Let us know what you think in the comments. But keeping it pushing too, we got a women's flyweight bout. Classic veteran versus prospect matchup. We got the 35-year-old Jessica Ai, who's ranked 10, coming in at plus 245. Fighting Macy Barber, minus 295. Macy only 24 years old, coming in at the 13th ranked flyweight. And it's a classic veteran versus prospect. We liked Barber, but not enough to eat the minus 295. We did bet the over, I think, on just like one parlay, if I'm not mistaken.
Which I got at minus 320, so it's like I probably could have just eaten the Barber minus 295.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought I was gonna have a stronger performance because diving in X's and O's, Barber.
What the fuck?
Hey, we're good.
Are we though? The clock's not ticking on.
Hey, we're back.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
We're
Wi-Fi
back. Sorry
drops. We're
about that.
fine. Easy
Sorry.
cuts.
But yeah, what we were saying is we anticipated Barber being the grappler based on, you know, previous style. I was supposed to have allegedly on paper the striking advantage. I, from a game plan perspective, starts clinching and grappling from the jump. And like I said, credit to Barber for kind of obviously dealing with something unexpected that they kind of weren't preparing for, but managing to get good damage. And he said in this clinch elbow, she would frame off and get some sick, slick elbows, some cheeky elbows in the words of Michael Bisping.
That cheeky elbows over the top. That goose egg over Ai's eye, which is a terrible. That's hard to say. But it was a huge goose egg, man. Like literally looks like bigger than a golf ball on the top of her head from that first elbow connected. And
yeah, the very first elbow, gnarly hematoma on Ai. Obviously, you know, damage was heavily favoring Barber. And yeah, I had round 110-9 Barber. I don't think it was really too controversial. I got like no damage off at all. Barber got very significant fight-altering damage off. So I'm not really trying to hear your arguments for giving Ai round 1. I mean, it was Barber all day, clear as day.
so I think the theme of this fight is that Jessica I just never could get any damage. She got plenty of points of control throughout the fight, but just could do no damage. Because I, like you, gave a 10-9 in the first. I thought that it was pretty easy to score. I didn't necessarily want to go 10-8 on it. I thought 10-8 might have been too far.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, round 2, very similar with the exception that I gets that takedown with about 2 minutes to go, but does nothing with it.
Yeah, no, I actually found round 2 harder to score for that exact reason. I have the word close in my notes. And the final judges' scorecards will kind of show that as well. And I gave it 10-9 She did have the takedown. I think she had like a little over 2 minutes of control time, if I'm remembering correctly. Little damage, really no damage, and not even really any sub attempts. It was classic lay and pray. I mean, but Barber wasn't really able to do much. And I was surprising Barber, being known as a grappler, you know, really wasn't able to get up off bottom. You know, she had really nothing from the bottom, which kind of is alarming for future fights as she climbs these rankings, because we now know Barber's not that great off her bat.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not good off her back, but I think it's so hard to take her down. I mean, look how hard Jessica I was working. Jessica was gassing herself, taking so much damage to get there. I mean, was it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, 2 judges do end up giving her that round.
Yeah, as do I.
I gave it to Barber. I gave it to Barber.
Fair play. It was a close round, and like I said, neither fighter really got much damage off. Probably Barber got more damage off.
Never feels good to agree with Adelaide Bird, but I guess I'm going to right now.
No.
So I had it, or going into the third, I had Barber up, 2018? You had it tied 1919?
Yeah, I did. Which is cool, because Barber came out pretty much fighting like it was 1919. Like, she had a very nice sense of urgency.
That's a good point.
In round 3. I mean, she was coming out with head kicks, like throwing bombs, like really stepped on the gas pedal, really increased the volume, really diversified the strikes. This fight was kind of opposite world. In round 3, Barber was essentially outstriking I, who was supposed to have the striking advantage. In the first 2 rounds, I was out grappling. You could argue Barber, who was supposed to have the grappling advantage. Just goes to show how much we do or don't know, or what we think we know. But yeah, round 3. I mean, the head kicks, the elbows, landing bombs, bad damage. I mean, it was all Barber. Like round 3 is super easy to score.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I thought easy 29-28, even if you give the second round to I. Like, I think rounds 1 and 3 are easy to score.
Yes.
I think round 2 is hard to score. And I think overall the odds were very justified here. For Barber, she's going to find her way back into the top 10 now. This 125 women's division is a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, we spent the past 2 years calling it the boring division, our least favorite division.
Yeah.
There's some fun. Barber, this new generation of flyweights. Barber, Blanchfield.
The back end is just coming up all together, which is going to be great.
Oh,
right?
it's going to be great. Yeah, like Modafferi retired. I just retired, which we'll get to right now. I took off her gloves. She retired.
Let's not to mention Tyler Santos is young.
Yeah, Tyler Santos, young.
Who's the boxer from Mexico? I can't remember her name.
Fuck. I know you're talking about. Not Rebus.
Yeah, not Amanda Ibas, but
Calvillo. Fuck.
Well, I'll pull up the rankings. That'd probably be a good thing to have as well. God, I want to know that girl's name so bad,
Yeah, I
It's
know.
moments like these where you're just like...
I know it. I can see her face in my head. I'm drawing a blank on the name real quick. But
It's not Lauren Murphy.
regardless, the flyweight division, women's flyweight now compared to where it was 18 months ago, in a much better place from a fan interest and actually something to be excited about. Grasso. Alexa Grasso. Yeah, she's very talented. She's probably she might be up next for a title shot, honestly, because the only people above her, Santos, Murphy, Andrade already. Oh yeah, Manon Fiorot, stud prospect.
She fights Andrade next.
Oh, Fiorot and
3rd.
Fiorot Andrade is a fun fight. That will not be a snoozer. That's going to be violent.
It's going to be a very fun fight.
When's the last time you said a women's flyweight fight was going to be violent?
Hey, if she wins that, man, she's next up for a title shot.
You're right.
Too. She has to be.
You're right.
Her, Grasso, or Viviana Araujo.
Grasso's been very vocal in calling for it, which I like, but also it's if Fiorot's, if you're talking, if Fiorot's beating Andrade,
And that division's a lot more fun again because Tyler Santos did so well against Shevchenko that, now I'm sitting here thinking, well, Shevchenko is very beatable. I didn't used to look at her as such, and she is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter currently. I think there's a guy at the end of this, somewhere near the end of this fight card, that is going to have an
What if
argument now.
Shevchenko passed Usman?
Yeah, she's ranked as the top pound-for-pound fighter.
Off that performance against Santos? I got major problems with that.
You think Usman deserves it, though?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh, women's pound-for-pound.
Okay, women's pound per pound. Okay. I'm on board with that, especially with Nunez taking the loss.
They even have 15 women that could be put in that. That sounds so bad. Marina Rodriguez is number 8.
Yeah.
Holly Holmes number 9. And this is in women's.
Yeah, that's a rough list.
How is Santos 14?
That's a weird list. That's a weird list.
Nunez is above Pena.
And Rose Namajunas is above Carla Esparza, who just beat her, but it was what do we even do with that
Did
fight?
either girl really win that fight? I think both girls just lost that fight, which good for them. But yeah, man, let's keep it pushing because I love this next fight. That's probably your most bullish pick, I think, on all the parlays we built.
Yeah, I had 2 different bets riding on this fight. Couple parlays. I had Mooney's money line, which was minus 325. I also have this line was set at over 1.5. The line was set at 1.5 for the over under. Had it been set at 2.5, I would have maybe felt a little differently. However, I just thought Uriah Hall, the defense, the fight IQ, I didn't see him getting caught, in 7 minutes or less, 7.5 minutes or less. I like the over on this fight, even though I really, really liked Munoz and Muniz. And if the prop would have been available for Muniz by sub or Muniz by finish, I would have liked that. The casino we were at only had over-unders as the prop. And like I said, the line being set at 1.5, I actually like the over. So I know I may sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my neck, but I had Muniz and Muniz over 1.5, or just the fight to last over 1.5 for either guy. I felt very confident in these picks. Like I literally wasn't that nervous about them.
Man, so I wasn't nervous about Muniz winning at all, right? Like I was very confident in that. Now the over 1.5, part of me starts to think about Muniz is a dangerous guy, especially with his grappling, like so dangerous. But Uriah Hall, 29 fights after this one, or counting this one, 18 wins, 10 losses coming in, never been submitted in the 10 losses.
Yeah, which is another great reason why I like the over on this one. Muniz coming in -325, the 13th ranked middleweight. I like Muniz a lot, like a lot. Like even before this fight, like I said, I put my money where my mouth is. And I'm also super down on Hall. Like I can't act like, you know what I mean? Like that didn't factor in. Like, yeah, I'm glass half full on Muniz, but I was pretty dauber down on Hall. I mean, when was the last time we saw Hall losing 50-45 to Strickland, right? I mean, he may have had a fight since then, but...
Do you think it's disrespectful to Muniz and Hall that this fight was before Green and Gary?
Yeah, I had a problem with the card placement on this one. I mean, I understand you got to put, so I don't know. Actually, you don't have to put a good fight on the early prelims. Like, if this would have been on the regular prelims, but to have this fight on the early prelims, essentially a top 10 middleweight matchup whenever the middleweight title's being contested, like, they could have done more with this as far as a build for the winner.
For sure.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the card placement. I wasn't a big fan of Uriah Hall on this one.
Let's get into scoring this one, because I think the judges actually messed up.
Oh, I disagree with you, but let's get to it.
Okay, so I have the first round. Muniz outstrikes him and controls position.
That's what surprised me, bro. Like, we all knew Muniz was the better grappler, but Muniz was outstriking Uriah Hall, which in classic Uriah Hall fashion, he just didn't get started at all. Like, there really wasn't much offense at all from Hall, like even on the feet, which is where he was allegedly supposed to have the advantage.
I mean, with the exception of Hall getting some very nice escapes from bottom whenever he'd get fully mounted, and then defending from his back, which isn't necessarily escaping, but at the end of rounds, if you recall, Hall would be turning into him. And all the time, I feel like Hall was playing it safe. Even to the end of the third round, he kept playing it safe. And it was like, what are you playing safe for?
Yeah, man. Which, like I said, is right lockstep with how Hall's looked in like his past 3-4 fights.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just think he's past the mark. I think he's
there's some mental thing going on. Like, he will not pull the trigger. Like, he will not.
Yeah, he can't.
Like,
I think ever since he broke Anderson Silva's leg, it's changed him.
He cannot and will not pull the trigger or go first in any engagement. I'm assuming where you're disagreeing with the scorecards, I'm assuming you had round 1 at 10-8.
Mm-hmm.
See, I feel you. There was a lot. Muniz checked a lot of boxes. He outstruck him on the feet. He took him down. He took his back, I believe. He outgrappled him. There were some sub attempts. Not a ton of damage, and I thought Hall's defense, was good enough. I thought it was good enough. Like, not good enough to win the round, but good enough to not be 10-8'd. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of damage, and he was able to avoid the submission attempts. Got controlled, got beat up on the feet, got taken down. I feel you. Checked a lot of boxes. Maybe I'm not being a little stingy with my 10-8s. I don't hate yours. Like, I see where you're coming from, but judges agree with you, boy.
Yeah. I was gonna say every judge gave this 10-9. Round 2. I mean, do we even need to go round by round here?
No.
I think it's just this fight's rinse and repeat. If you didn't,
I literally have the words rinse and repeat in my notes for the third round. Like,
hilarious. If you didn't score round 1 at 10-8, then you weren't going to score rounds 2 or 3 at 10-8, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Say the rest of it.
Yeah, I had it 30-26. Obviously, all the judges, you had it 30-27. Maybe I'm just trying to give Muniz the bump. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I don't know.
What I do, well, first off, big Muniz guy, and we talked about it last week, or we talked about the last couple weeks about how these jiu-jitsu guys that can't get takedowns is like the most irrelevant skill set ever. Muniz is single legs, and he was switching from singles to doubles. Like, how many Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys are out there hitting dope single legs and cutting the angle? And
his ability he just would always get these little snatches on the leg, too. It was never like he was getting a full, shot or having to pick an ankle, like a Gamrot style. He was always just kind of snatching that knee up and then would be able to transition, which against the guy who's supposed to have power like Uriah Hall, kind of a dangerous place to be in, but Muniz was great there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm really, impressed with Moon, and Muniz outstruck Uriah Hall, which I think conventional wisdom had us believing that Uriah Hall was probably going to be the better striker. So, I mean, I'm sky high on Muniz. This gets him into the top 10. I mean, granted, we all know there's a different, type of situation going on with Pereira, but seeing how he's being treated as an unranked guy and how Muniz is being treated as like a top 10 guy, not necessarily the most fair. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue to you that Muniz is more marketable than Pereira or even better than Pereira, but I'm just saying, I think we need to put a little more respect on Muniz's name in the words of Birdman.
Let's see. So
I don't think the rankings are updated.
no,
yet.
they're not yet. But I was going to say, if you're looking forward from Uriah Hall,
Yeah.
you got Darren Till, Jack Hermanson, Paulo Costa, Derek Brunson. I'd love to see a Brunson Muniz matchup.
Brunson, honestly, Brunson Muniz is fun. I honestly don't even hate Costa, but
Costa's not an 85er.
we agree. We're dying on that hill. That's our take as a podcast. Like, Paulo Costa's a 205er. Like, he is.
I mean, tell us we're wrong and tell me the last weight he weighed in at.
Exactly. When's the last time? Like, okay, well, why do you say he's a 205er? Because he can't make 85.
And he last fought at 205, so I'm going to call him a 205.
What does somebody who weighs in at 206.5 pounds? That's a heavyweight.
Literally.
So, like, why do we not apply that same logic to other divisions? It's weird.
I do not get it, man. I do not get it.
Like, Kevin Holland would fight middleweight, fights weighing in like 181. So it's like,
Is he last night weighing in at 183?
yeah. So it's like, I don't know. How Paulo Costa is not considered a light heavyweight is beyond me. There's a lot of fun fights for Muniz. I mean, Till might get him a main event spot. You know what I'm saying?
Smash, brother.
And then Hermansson's an interesting matchup because Hermansson has really good grappling. I mean, I still like Muniz in that.
That's
to be
probably
honest.
the one that they're going to do, I think, is probably Hermanson Muniz.
Grappler on grappler. That could be, I mean, that was either a co-main or maybe even a weaker fight night main event because Hermansson's been a fight night main event.
Man, are we doing a disservice to Muniz by calling him a grappler, though? Because his striking looked really good last night.
Which is why I like him in all of the names and the matchups we just listed.
I was very impressed.
For sure, man. I guess
we can keep pushing to the prelims.
Yeah.
That's the early prelims.
That wraps up the early prelims. And let's start a new live stream.
Let's get it.
For sure, yeah. So I said thank you to everybody that watched this. We'll be right back to break down the prelims. That wraps up the early prelims. We're going over UFC 276. If you like UFC fights, if you enjoy UFC podcasts talking about fights, we'll be glad to interact with you in the comments. Subscribe, get our notifications, interact with us. You can find us on Twitter at Beefy Breakdown. Like, we can DM, we can talk about betting picks. Like, seriously, we would love to just engage with y'all out there, other MMA fans. That's really the point of this podcast. It's not just to talk to each other.
Slide in our DMs.
Yeah, we'd love to engage with y'all as well. So yeah, thanks everybody that tuned in. Thanks to everybody that subscribed. And yeah, we'll be right back to break down these banger prelims.
Prelims is the best. The next 4 fights,
yes,
the best run you're going to see in the whole card.
Yes, the middle chunk between the early prelims, and main card, I thought the best, which is cool because it was on ABC. A lot of people got to see it.
Oh, great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
So these prelims are fire, and we'll be right back to talk about them with you guys. We'll be right back.